Who is the king of rock and roll for all skeletons? Pelvis. Get it? We've been doing this every day for October, watching some pretty spooky some of them have been pretty spooky movies, and others have just been really cringe. Quite a few of them have actually been pretty problematic. The most problematic ones probably have been the ones by this guy named Ron Ormond, who made 4 films based on the sermons of this guy, Estes Perkel. But the first one they ever did was this film called If Footmen Tire You, What Will Horses Do? This was made in 1971. So this was their very first film. I wanted to watch them in order that they made them, but I also wanted to watch some of these with some friends, so we had to scatter them throughout. And so I wanted to watch this one with Queer POTUS. Look at this plot description here. Based on the preachings of Reverend Estes W. Perkel, this film warns what will happen to America if the citizens do not give up their depraved ways and turn to God and Jesus for salvation. Communist infiltrators, the Footmen, will pave the way for an all-out invasion by weakening our will through TV, dance, rock music, and alcohol. It attracted something of a cult following among secular fans because of its explicit depictions of torture and mass murder and the heavy-handed nature of its evangelical message. So also real quick, content warning everybody, there's some like murder, like communists murdering Christians and blood and stuff. So if you can't handle that, that's the movie we're gonna watch.
So I've got the watch together link here.
Yes. So throughout this whole month, we've been talking about how a lot of people grew up being strongly encouraged to watch like just Christian movies and listen to just Christian music and interact with Christian media and Christian education and stay away from this evil, secular, worldly stuff. Did you grow up around that at all?
Yeah, I was told, even when I was listening to like classic rock that my father like was into, they were like, it would be better if the words coming out of those musicians' mouths was like just like praise Jesus in some form.
But yeah, I also wanted to bring you on with your perspective in studying history, because this movie is like pretty much the Red Scare stuff. It's interesting, like the unique Red Scare in the United States was uniquely Christian. And it was very much like, that's how we win, where it's like, we're the Christian nation against the atheist nation of the Soviet Union.
Is this movie from the 70s?
It is 1971.
Perfect. So, of course, this is sort of the earliest period when the religious right, the moral majority, all of that is kind of getting started. I recently read Rick Perlstein's book on Ronald Reagan, Reaganland, that talks a lot about it. And so it was a time of economic stagnation. It was the post-1960s counterculture revolution period. And so it was the beginning of the silent majority. And the religious political movement, as we know it today, was really in its infancy. Richard Nixon goes to a Billy Graham crusade and appears, and that's considered like the first, seminal moment at the beginning of like the new Christian right. And Nixon resigns in disgrace. So Billy Graham feels really embarrassed, and the Christians are sort of like, let's not do that again. And then who comes along but somebody with the initials JC, Jimmy Carter. And they're like, holy cow, we can get a born again elected. So they support Jimmy Carter. They celebrate when he gets elected. And then he's a, liberal Democrat. So they don't like how he governs, the taxes and all that stuff. They don't like the fact that he supports some abortion, some things that help abortion, even though he's personally pro-life. And so they end up going to Reagan. And that's when the moral majority is founded. And that's the foundation of everything that we know as of conservative Christianity today. So I'm bringing that up because I'm saying that this movie seems to be coming to us at the end of the 1960s counterculture revolution and just before the dawn of the new Christian right. So it's an interesting transition period.
You ready?
Interesting. Oh, I was born ready.
Okay, let's do this.
Born again ready.
Cool.
So these they kind of look like communists of the 1917 variety.
Yeah, I think so.
Russians.
Coming on their horses to take away your Bibles.
We come to take your Bible.
Yeah.
I can document every statement that I make in this film, and all of the dramatized reenactments are taken from actual events that have happened in Russia, Korea, China, and Cuba, where the communists have already taken over. The only difference is that we're using Americans to emphasize that the same thing can and will happen here if they take over.
Can't let that happen.
What do you think of it? The things that are happening in America today are like a Sunday school picnic compared to that which will take place within the next 24 months unless revival breaks out in our country. Tens of millions of Americans will be shot down like flies in our town.
Covered in ketchup.
Many of you listening to me today are going to see hundreds of dead
Yes, it's
bodies
ketchup, everybody.
on the streets of your hometown. We are engaged in a tremendously important race against some of the
Did we
most
not have
powerful
cars in the
forces.
70s?
Whoever wins this race will have the
So
minion
do
over
we not
our
have
children.
cars?
our
It's
homes,
spookier
and
if they're on
our
horses.
churches. It seems as if they will not be alerted until communism marches up behind them and runs them down. When communism
The
comes,
girls look like
these
they were
people
having
will make a
fun.
run
Did
for
you
their
notice that?
lives.
They were laughing.
They'll escape. They'll put up a good fight, but it'll be too late. Even heavier on your heart will be the memory of seeing children lying dead in the streets.
What?
Who are these children?
This is
They're
a good
Christian
question.
boys and girls who refuse to give up their faith in Christ. Had they yielded to the demands to become atheistic communists, they could have lived. Yet because they chose to remain steadfast to Jesus Christ, they had to be annihilated to keep them from contaminating the minds of other boys and girls. If you try to interfere, they'll shoot you down like clay pigeons.
Oh.
You pick me up after services, you hear? Keep telling you I've got to keep up my image. You know, be seen in the proper places.
I'll be here, baby.
Sure you don't want to come in?
Not on your life, baby. I'm a lover, not a Christian.
Communists.
Disobedient to parents, proud, murderers, rapists, traitors, and many other such
Yo,
things.
that sounds like
Yet the
church.
Bible also says that something else is
She's
occurring in the
like,
last
cheers,
days.
rapist, this, all
Fifth
that.
chapter
She's like,
of
yep,
James
I'm in the right
tells us
place.
that God's going to send revival. But I see some strange young men and young women today. I see strange people coming to churches across the land. Not long
Yeah, he
ago,
looks strange.
I stood up to preach in a certain congregation. A young lady stood up to sing, and she got catcalls from all over the house. You know why? She was dressed in a miniskirt 12 inches above her knees. But what was she singing? She was singing, "I'll tell the world that I'm a Christian." It's a strange thing that a young lady should dress like the world and stand up and tell the world that I'm a Christian. When
Wow.
you get saved by the grace of God, it means a major change
remember getting
takes
that
place
lecture a
in your
lot.
life.
Not with
but we
dress,
can't blame
but
these young
in
people
other
for what's
ways.
going on today and let the adults go free. Many modern teachers think it more necessary to teach sex than the 3 R's.
Boys and girls,
the three
as I
Rs?
have discussed with you many times before, I personally believe that premarital sex
Oh.
is necessary.
Oh,
And now we will go on to discuss the 7 erotic zones of passion in every woman.
Yes.
The first one
Cue the
is
porn music.
And they go on to teach worse things.
oh.
Another footman that we must run against is the TV world. Are you aware of how much your child's actions and attitudes are controlled by television? Have you seen these cartoons? Programs motivated to lead your child into crime, into sex, into murder? Since the advent of TV, the crime rate in some areas has increased 1,000%. Ought you not to be concerned about what your child sees and hears? Do you realize what effect television has on a parent trying to read the Bible? He has a choice to make, either the Bible or the TV program.
Whoa.
He soon closes the Bible.
That's not a
to
false
watch the
dichotomy.
program.
Yeah.
Is this happening in your house? If so, ought you not to do something about it? Oh, how times have changed. They're adding so many more things to make our children go astray. Today we have the drive-in theater.
Oh, no.
Have you considered what goes on down there?
Oh, no.
It's nothing more than a spawning house for sex.
A spawning out for.
What's shown
I
on the
did go to
screen
a
is nothing
drive-in
but raw
theater
sex
though
and
once.
violence. And there's
Yeah,
no
anyway.
supervision.
Oh.
Another question. I'd like to know what's your attitude toward dancing. You say, preacher, times have changed. I don't see anything wrong with dancing today. Dancing
Dancing.
is just as wrong
I
as
love
it's
that
always
jacket.
been. You say, what's wrong with it? It's the front door to adultery. The
Whoa.
thing that started on the dance floor is expected to be finished
The front
in a
door
parked
to
car
adultery.
or a motel
Yeah.
somewhere. Another thing that ought to disturb us is the liquor traffic.
Oh, wait, real quick. Yeah, dancing. And he's like, dancing has always been bad. So he's not saying, well, if you dance like in the right way, in the right place. No, it's all dancing bad. All of it leads to adultery. But I wanted to say too, like, I also know that there's denominations that still have it in their bylaws that dancing is not allowed on the premises of their church building. And the denomination I was in had that, but it wasn't followed. It was just kind of a funny, like, this is in our bylaws, and of course no, it's not enforced, and we all dance and do whatever, but it's just a kind of funny thing, like, this is technically still in our bylaws. No dancing at church property.
75% of our young people are drinking before they finish high school.
Whoa.
Shall we tolerate this with simply a raised eyebrow?
That's definitely something that started in the 1970s. Before that, nobody did this ever.
Dang. Drinking
Well,
and
if we can't
smoking.
stop these footmen,
In a miniskirt.
there are horsemen that will do something about it. Too many of us today don't have time to come to church. We're busy all Sunday long joyriding. We have time to spend hours laughing and talking with our friends, but we can't give God even 1 hour of our time, either in the morning or in the evening. There are many men today who are hurting the church tremendously.
Does
They'll
this guy
drive their
talk the
family
whole
up to
movie?
church and let them out. The mother and
Sort of.
children
I know
beg them
there's
to get out
parts
and to go into the church with him.
where,
But
like,
he
the actors will
not.
act out
He has
stuff
things more
later.
important than. When will they be sorry? It will be when communism takes over America. How many of you in this congregation are 30 years old or older? Would you raise your hands? All right. Do you know what communism says about you? They say we're pretty sure we can't change your mind. The only ones we're interested in are those who are 29 and under. And when communism takes over our country, they intend to take our children out of our homes and right out of our lives.
I think Antifa should consider riding horses.
True. What? Dang.
This is literally what Jim Jones told his cult would happen to their children if they didn't worship Jim Jones.
Wow. Oh my god. He's so happy to kill Christians.
What was up with that laugh? It was like on loop.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Not only will they take your children away from you, but
Dang.
once they've gotten them, they are masters at brainwashing. In their approach to make children hate Jesus Christ, they're nothing but cunning and subtle.
Today, my young comrades, we will discuss another matter. We'll not talk about our glorious communist state, but instead, we will talk about your Jesus Christ. Now, how many of you believe in Jesus? Come now, don't be bashful. We know that your parents have taught you about Jesus. Come on, raise your hands.
The Gatling
better.
gun.
How many of you now still believe that Jesus answers prayers?
Only Lenin answers prayers.
Now,
Exactly.
how many of you would like to have some candy? That's better.
They just
Since
give
you
you candy.
believe that Jesus answers prayers, let's see if your Jesus will bring you some candy now
What?
and produce a miracle.
Come on, Jesus.
Oh no.
I don't see any candy. I don't taste any candy. There is no candy. Your Jesus didn't bring us any candy. The reason why, your Jesus Christ can't do it. We will pray to our glorious leader, Fidel Castro.
Wait, what?
And our glorious Fidel.
I thought these were
bring
Soviets.
Us all of the candy that
No, they're
we can
Cubans.
eat.
I
Oh.
guess they could only
I
find
will
like
show
Latinx
you
actors.
a miracle. Come in, comrade. This is a miracle from our
Oh yeah,
glorious.
real quick. Fidel Castro, one of his cool quotes was, "There are 1,000 times more coincidences between Christianity and communism than Christianity and capitalism," which is obviously true. And also, like, there are, you could find like a few anti-religion or anti-Christianity quotes from Castro, like early on, but that's because he was largely referring to the Spanish-born Franco-fascist Catholic priests who were actively trying to stop what he was doing. So they,
like Jesus said things that could be like called anti-religious.
Oh,
because
yeah.
he was like rebuking the Pharisees or something, you know.
It's interesting. Also, real quick, I mean, they're gonna keep on this point, but let's just talk about it now. The anti-Christianity sentiment when it comes to talking about communist projects throughout the world is always exaggerated. Yeah, do you have any thoughts on that? Of like, were different communist projects against religion, against Christianity at all?
I think that probably in certain periods and in certain times, the fervor to change and go like lunge towards progress did create an environment at times where there was a zealousness directed at the church to like get rid of the church or whatever at different periods. But I also think that like the Orthodox Church did survive the Soviet Union and did actually kind of like figure out a way to exist within the Soviet Union. They are much happier now under oligarchy, though. I can tell you that much, which is like a reason why there's going to be beef between the church and the communists in any revolutionary situation, right? But I mean, like, Stalin blew up like a huge gold-domed like church, and I mean that's sending a message. Like that's not just, you know, oh, we need to get rid of this. He was sending a message, and like most Christians are not going to see a giant church get blown up and think like, oh, that's good. Like they're going to usually react to that with like, oh my God, our religion's under attack, and you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's just something important to remember if those of you who went through the like atheist days of like the Christopher Hitchens and the Sam Harris world, that like if you go too far down that like atheism path, you do start to like become very get into that chauvinism kind of world. Like and I say this as somebody, I don't personally believe in God, but like, or at least I'm agnostic, I would say. But it's like some of that, when there's a lot of focus on kind of like correcting the religious impulse in people, it doesn't really go well, in my opinion.
Yeah. And so it even the anti-religion within like communist re-education in Soviet Russia, and then it didn't work. Like they didn't actually remove Christianity. Like no communist project has ever removed Christianity. And there definitely was some of that anti-Christian sentiment. But it's like, I think everyone in the chat understands, it's like that's needed though. Like if you want to talk about justice and liberation, part of that conversation needs to be critiquing the institutional church. Absolutely. And so it makes sense why there would be like anti-church and anti-Christianity and anti-religion stuff in there, because if you want to criticize injustice and if you want to criticize capitalism, then you're going to have to talk about religion as well, in the way that they've the way that Christianity has continuously sided with the working class, with the ruling class again and again. So yeah.
I'm just imagining the Pharisee, like a Pharisee doing a movie like this and being like, there's an evil force coming for your children.
Yeah.
It's called Christianity.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It wants to corrupt our youth and make us all dance and yeah.
Yeah, also that's such a huge stretch. This guy being like dancing and drinking and mini skirts, communism.
Right.
Like that's all opening the door for communism.
Yeah.
It's so weird. All right.
Is Fidel. All of the candy that we can eat. Here, take all that you want. This
Like
is a
Pinocchio.
miracle, not from your Jesus Christ, but from our glorious Fidel Castro.
Now, which of these parents was teaching these children Christianity?
Uh-oh. Whoa.
Imagine being slaughtered simply because he had the audacity to teach people about Jesus. And this child who was listening, as with the other young Christians, will never have the opportunity again to hear a Bible lesson taught.
I think
Their
definitely in
eardrums will be
China there
punctured
was
with
quite a
pointed
large level
bamboo
of like
stick.
it was dangerous to be a Christian
Hmm.
for certain periods.
Oh, break the heart, break!
Oh no.
Oh my god, they're making him get an earring?
Oh, break it!
Oh.
What?
Whoa. This is too much.
Why?
Yes,
No!
you cannot hear.
I renounce
God.
communism. I'm sorry.
That's what they do to Christian kids.
You find this shocking? There are things
Yeah.
more shocking to come. The communist treatment of Christian women is horrible to imagine. For example, they like to strip a woman naked, tie her head to one Jeep and her legs to another Jeep,
What?
and pull her limb from limb. Perhaps the most horrible thing that communists do to Christian
Don't
women
know about
is to make
that.
them
Right.
play toys in the hands of their soldiers, as we shall see in this documented incident.
Documented incident. Dorian said, this is projection. It's the future Christo-fascists want. That just made me realize, like, this is very similar to what Christians did during the Inquisition. Christians have a long history of doing exactly what he's describing.
Hey, what's this all about?
Comrade, just a friendly visit.
Now, wait just a minute.
Come have a drink of vodka.
Everything is everybody's now. I'm gonna take a piss on your couch.
When communism took over in Korea, they killed every Christian they could find. They killed 3 million. When they took over Russia, they killed 20 million.
20
When they took over
million.
China, they killed 50 million. Their plans for America is
I
to
didn't
kill
realize that
67
statistic
million.
was that old.
One of the top communists in America today said, I
20
dream of the
million.
hour
Right.
when the last congressman is
Also-
strangled to
More
death on the
recently.
guts of the last
Statistic.
Also, they say it as if, like, it was the plan, like, okay, we got to kill exactly this amount. Boom, communism. And so it's like, and they plan on killing 67 million in America. That's how they'll achieve communism.
And since the Christians love to sing about the blood, let's give them a little of it. Let's cut
Whoa,
the throats of their children.
jeez.
Let them drown in their own blood on the altar. Then we'll see if they enjoy singing these hymns or not. Imagine seeing this sight on the altar of your own church. Furthermore, imagine that this could be your child or grandchild whose throat has been cut. Does this turn your stomach? When it happens, you'll be able to do nothing about it, for there'll be a communist soldier with a submachine gun in every pulpit stand in America. When communism takes over, they will want to know everything.
Make sure we
you've
have a
done
communist
since you
with a
were
machine
5
gun at
until
every
your present
pulpit.
age.
Yeah.
Here is a documented incident of sheer horror at its worst.
This
Man
is
who's
the
about to be
Spanish
killed did not break
Inquisition
the
right
law.
here.
Yeah.
His only crime was being a Christian. His own immediate family were forced to participate. All right, drop him. I said drop him.
Like, it's pretty much implying that literally all communism is, the definition of communism is torturing and killing Christians. That's it.
These people are sitting on benches with no cushions.
Funny part
or
is,
backs.
the only torture I know that was going on in Cuba
They'll be forced to sit there for
anytime in
17
the recent
hours.
past was taking place at
From
Guantanamo
5 in the
Bay.
morning until 10 at night.
Yep.
They will not be fed or watered until they return to their skimpy barracks. Now you ask, why are they here? They are listening to a recorded lecture that is repeated over and over and over again. Communism is good. Communism is good.
Someone was complaining they're not
Communism is good.
letting the scenes breathe.
Yeah.
That's a good-
Christianity is stupid.
Oh,
Christianity is stupid. Christianity is stupid.
Oh, I'm definitely using that in
Give
a
up.
song.
that was using
Give
a
up.
song. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah,
Was it?
I saw that in the. I didn't read that in the Wikipedia page. The movie was sampled by the sound collage band Negative Land. They included him saying Christianity is stupid, communism is good, give up. Over
You're
and
definitely
over.
gonna have to find that song.
Christianity is stupid. Christianity is stupid. Christianity is stupid. Communism is good. Communism is good. Give up.
I mean,
Whoa.
it's written. All this is in capital. I don't know if you've ever read Karl Marx's Capital. This is all in it. All of this.
Yeah.
Half the book is just like shoot like this person, shoot that person, shoot this person. That's all that's in there.
Right. It's only so long because Karl Marx is listing all the Christian denominations to kill.
Right, exactly. He's like, if you don't get to 20 million dead, you are not shit, communism.
What's the matter, little boy?
Where's my mama and my daddy? You killed them, haven't you?
Yes. Think of how much better off you will be.
Ooh.
The state will provide for you and take care of your every need.
Kropotkin has
Much
beef with
better
Karl
than your
Marx
mother or
there.
father either.
Nice.
I won't go stay. I want my mama and my daddy.
Now you listen to me, little boy. What is done is done. You now belong to the state. We do not want to kill you. But we will. Unless you cooperate. Now then. Now if you will step on this picture of your Jesus.
Whoa.
Will you heal?
Oh, they did a play like this in my
Liberate
church
free.
once. Where, like this, they step
But
on
if you don't-
Jesus,
Yeah.
and he refused and got killed.
It'll cut your head off.
They've been telling this story for a long time, and
One
it takes
day
place
you
in
died for
any
me,
number of countries.
And I'm
but-
willing to die for you.
Why, you stupid little fool.
Whoa.
I thought they were indoors, though. How did that? Okay. It's a big deal. Oh.
I know that this tragedy shocks you, Judy, even as it shocks the rest of us. But suppose that that had been you, instead of that little boy getting killed and you not being ready to meet Christ. You have been carried straight to hell, and the torments of communism are nothing compared to the torments of a burning hell. Will you make your decision for Christ? Why don't you get up from where you are right now and come to Jesus?
Definitely. Definitely
How
go to
often you
Jesus.
prayed for the day when you would publicly declare your faith in Christ. Your mother was a good woman. She talked to me so many times about her concern for you. How she longed
This was her
to see you
funeral.
saved.
What?
I
Oh my
remember the day
god.
we buried her.
What a twist.
And even though she lay at
brilliant.
this altar, silent in death, you, Judy, must have known that she would have died easier, knowing that you had accepted Jesus as your own personal Savior.
Mama,
The twist.
if I'd only listened. If I'd only known.
Your mother wanted you to surrender your soul to him, Judy.
Judy,
This is
my
manipulative
little
as
girl.
fuck.
I know.
How long I have prayed that one day you would come to God's altar and surrender your soul to Him.
This is killing me.
Oh, how your mother wanted you to know salvation.
Oh, it wasn't.
Judy, will you kneel with me at the altar?
Okay, I don't.
I don't know either.
Now, Jesus said, but as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God.
Damn.
Dear God, I know I've offended you.
They used mental torture to break down this girl's will and then make her submit to Jesus.
Take
That's
me
like
back.
Yes.
exactly what they portray the communists as.
Yes, it's so weird.
You too might have a need for Jesus to come into your life.
He's talking to you,
Or
chat.
perhaps you might need more information. If so, please write me. Estes Perkle, New Albany, Mississippi. This could be the most important decision of your lifetime.
Could be. It
Will
sounds
you
like
come?
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Will you come? Will you come?
Oh, I will not come. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's communism.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting that it was basically an inquisition that the communists are doing, and and it was all he very much made it seem like that's literally all communism cares about is getting rid of Christians and torturing Christians and killing Christians.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to church, they definitely they made it seem like communists, whatever they were, they just really hated Christians. They wanted you to worship communism instead of Jesus. That was like their goal.
Yeah.
It's just like stop worshiping Jesus and worship communism. That's it. It's all they want to do. Why? For what purpose? Never explained.
Yeah, there's definitely like a tapping into fear, whatever people are scared of, and then saying, and the answer is Jesus. I think there's definitely that element. And because he even seemed like he was straight up making stuff up. And if he wasn't making stuff up himself, then he was just pulling from other people who made stuff up, and maybe he didn't know that they made it up. Like all the torture methods he was going into, which just is like seemed completely out of his ass. And it just seemed like, okay, the main point though is to get people saved. So I'm just gonna tap into this thing that people are scared of and say all this really bad stuff that they're doing, whether I'm sure of it or not. Which I guess they're thinking like it doesn't matter if the truth is stretched because people need to get saved.
Yeah. Well, it's also it's completely decontextualized stuff. Like, you know, all kinds of like the period between 1910 and 1945 in particular, all manner of horrible shit happened basically everywhere. And so there are stories from every country that will make your blood curdle of things that took place between human beings. But for me to be like, if I were to say, you know, like if I were to go to the Philippines and be like, if you let the United States into your country, like here, or if I said like, here are some terrifying stories from the United States, and I told stories from like the 1830s about like about Andrew Jackson. Like, yeah, those are terrible stories, but they did happen in the 1830s. It's like, if I just sort of vaguely said like, the United States did this, I maybe it's a bad metaphor, but I'm just trying to say that like, he's like, just says a story that he claims happened some point, somewhere, at some time in the Soviet Union, or in, not even in the Soviet Union, in the communism land, world, zone,
in
whatever
another country.
Yeah. And it's just sort of like, okay, like I'm supposed to judge an entire country based on specific bad things that happened in that country's history, that country's government perpetrated or that its people participated in. You know, it seems like a simplistic. Of course, we're talking about this ridiculous movie, so
yeah,
that's communism.